As for the Dubs, Golden State's worst loss ever under Steve Kerr gives them 3 L's in their last 4 games. This one bad enough to maybe get their attention.
From the very beginning, we were not flying around. We were not given the sort of effort that it takes to win an NBA game. The other stuff I've got to do a better job with, making sure we're in the right defensive schemes and get the right combinations on the floor. So it's a group effort, and I'm the coach, so I got to make sure that I'm doing my job. But it starts with a passion and an anger and an intensity, and it wasn't there tonight.
Obviously, another slow start, and Kerr's mentioning didn't have the, intensity, or he even mentioned the Steve Kerr, or even the anger. Did you sense that? And does this team need a little more anger sometimes?
I thought we move off of joy. I mean, now anger.
That's what your coach said.
Oh, okay. I disagree with that one. I mean, we just got to. I think all around, top to bottom, coaches, players, we just got to be better.
That'll be a fun debate, anger or joy, which way you want to go. Well, for what it's worth, if the Warriors reach a 5th straight finals, as folks expect them to generally, they're likely to see one of these teams who've all beaten them at Oracle, and except for the Sixers game, all beaten them by 20 plus. How much, if anything, can we extrapolate from those results?
I would say you can take 0 from that.
I tend to agree.
Because when I was in Toronto, right, and the Chicago Bulls, I think, went 72-10. Mm-hmm. And I was a GM in Toronto. Well, guess who beat them twice that year? The Raptors.
Right. You're responsible for 20% of their losses.
Yeah, and we were like, hey, we can win the championship. Yeah. No, we're better than the Bulls. No, you're not.
Right.
You look at Golden State right now, and I still believe that when they're healthy and the playoffs start, they'll have some rough series, but I still don't see anybody beating them when they're on top of their game, 4 out of 7. I don't see another team having the talent to do that.
I tend to agree. I want to get to the question of anger versus joy, but
I'm with joy.
But reminder, we saw the Suns sweep the Bucks this week, right? That doesn't mean they're a better team moving forward if they were to meet up whenever. But I will say this, there have been a couple of times, and some of these Eastern Conference teams have been able to do this with active bigs, and the Houston can do this as well. Pick and roll, active bigs, that's been a bit of a hard cover for the Warriors this season.
Yeah, look, every team has some issues you can attack throughout the course of a regular season matchup. The problem is, as Isaiah mentioned, you got to do this more than once. It can't be a one-off. And you can catch anybody on an off night.
Right.
You can catch them napping early in the game, get a big lead, and then they're fighting uphill the rest of the way. The problem for everybody dealing with the Warriors, their DNA says they'll show up in June. We have no idea if the same Boston team we saw last night can dial up that intensity and that focus when the calendar strikes June 1st.
Yeah.
And that's where you run into this thing. If you're the Warriors, leaning on that is dangerous in the regular season, because you have these nights when you show up to the arena and expect that flip to flip that switch and we're going to go out and play like championship Warriors. Well, not all the time. And I think there are some things. You look at 5 games this year the Warriors have lost at home when they've been drilled by 20 or more points.
20 plus, yeah.
That's uncharacteristic of a championship team most often.
Yeah.
I think if I'm not mistaken, the only championship team that's had that occurrence is LeBron's team that upset the Warriors, in the finals a few years ago, came back from that 3-1 deficit. So you have to be careful about reading too much into the regular season metrics and whether or not they're going to translate into the playoffs.
They're just 9-6 over their last 15 games, and as Steve Kerr put it last night, they're jogging, not sprinting. If you want to win games, sprinting's usually better.
Jogging with a smile and with joy. It should be.
Well, you can sprint with anger, too. Either could be effective.